Living abroad in Panama. Let's talk about it. So, tonight I'm going to be going live with Jen the Traveler, and she is going to be talking about her journey living abroad in Panama, moving abroad in Panama, how she helps other people move abroad to Panama. So, I am super, super excited. So, I actually came across Jen on TikTok probably maybe like 4 months ago or something along those lines. And y'all know that, I talk about all things moving abroad, living abroad, but I love whenever someone is very specific to one country, because as somebody like me who is a digital nomad, like I move around, I'm not just staying in one place. I have a very different perspective, right? Like, as someone who moved to one country from one other country and they have stayed there for 3 months, 6 months, 3 years, whatever it is going to be a completely different experience. So, really excited to hear more about her journey, hear more about Panama and all of that. So, for starters, just in case it's your first time joining any of my lives, my name is Bianca, and I am someone who left the United States to live abroad last year, February 2024. So, on February 4th, 2024, me and my husband got on a one-way flight to Brazil. And at the time this video is going, this is April 2025. Almost said 2024. By April 2025, like, we have traveled to 10 different countries since February of last year. So it's been a whirlwind, but here we are. It's been an incredible journey, and I go live so that I can show you the behind the scenes of living abroad, moving abroad. And I see that Jen just joined, so when she sends a request, I will go ahead and let her in, and we'll start talking all things Panama. So feel free to drop any questions that you have in the comments below, whether you are watching live or whether you are watching the I just had a smoothie, and I think it was like all the fruit in it is still like caught here in my throat. You know how you eat like citrus fruits and like it's so citrusy? Anyway. But yeah, so the journey's been incredible. I go live so that I can show the behind the scenes, and I've been going live with other people so that y'all can get other perspectives and see the difference in I really hope I did. Okay, I think I might have. No, we're about to find out. We are about to find out, but I think I did let her in. I hit view request. Oh, here it is. Hello, Jen.
Hi, good
Good
afternoon. Or evening.
afternoon. You said you're on Pacific time right now, so it's oh yeah, so it's
It's
no, you're on
it's
Eastern.
4, yeah. Yeah,
Like,
Pacific right now, yeah.
okay,
Yeah.
okay. So it's like 4 o'clock for you. Okay.
Yes, yes.
Got
Yeah.
it. All right. Let me get readjusted here. I swear I'm still trying to get used to Instagram live and how they do like the squares, because I'm so used to like the vertical videos. It's like
Right.
they
Yeah,
put you
it's
in that little
separate.
box and you be like, wait. Yes, that's it.
That's funny. Yeah, I haven't been on IG Live in a very long time. I just stick to TikTok lives, but this is a good pivot
Yeah.
because I have folks on here who could join.
Yes, yes, exactly. And I feel you. I'm a TikTok girly too. So I do feel you on that. But anyways, hello Jen and welcome. Thank you for
Thank
joining.
you for having me.
Of course, I appreciate you. So, before we start talking all things, I've already gotten everybody hyped for all things living abroad in Panama. But before we get into all of that, tell us a little bit about you. Who is Jen? Where are you from? All of that.
Okay, let's see. I'm a travel consultant. But my day-to-day job, I'm a therapist, and I
Oh,
run my own
cool.
practice. Yeah. So I've been a therapist for many years now. And I work remotely, so I have my own practice. So that kind of led the way for me to be able to do what I'm doing now, which is
Yeah.
living abroad and traveling. But I was born and raised in New York. But my family is Haitian, so I'm Haitian American. I'm not Panamanian, I just love Panama.
Yeah.
I've had people ask me, "Are you from Panama?" No, but I can claim it sometimes. I can be like, "Yeah, I'm from Cologne." Let's see. Yeah, I think those are the things about me.
Yeah, I had no idea you were a therapist. That's another thing I love about doing these lives is I end up learning so much about people who, I didn't know. We all
Right.
like we follow each other online and we see each other's content, but it's very different when you're having like, a one-on-one conversation. So that's cool. One of my best friends, she's a therapist as well, and she's actually wanting to move abroad. Fun fact.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. Well, it can
Yeah.
happen.
Mhm.
Yeah, she can do it.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. And speaking of moving abroad, tell us a little bit about how even like before like living abroad, moving abroad, how did you even start traveling? Like when did Jen become Jen the Traveler? Because I was also like stalking your story highlights and
Uh-huh.
I was over there like, oh my God, like I had no idea you've been all these places. So yeah, tell us more about your travel beginnings.
Yeah. Um, I think it just started with like a love for culture. Like I love culture, I love language. So, yeah, I've always known that I've like if I got the opportunity, I wanted to travel.
Yeah.
So, I think my first real opportunity to travel abroad, trying to think, was it when I studied abroad? I think so. Yeah. So I studied abroad in Costa Rica,
Oh, beautiful.
um, mid grad school. So that was like my first like immersion type of
Yeah,
situation where I got to live somewhere, stay with a host family, practice my Spanish because I was doing the program to learn Spanish and
yeah,
also just like get credits and stuff. So yeah, that was my first opportunity to be like immersed abroad, and it was just so cool.
yeah,
Like in my mind, I was like, okay, I'm gonna come to Costa Rica one day, and I could see myself living here. Like I always thought in my mind, like I could see myself living here.
yeah,
But from there, like that was like the little bug where I was like, okay, I have to like see
yeah,
the world.
yeah,
So from there, like any opportunity I got to travel, whether it was solo or with family or with friends, like I took it. Like I'm that person in my friend group. If you're like, hey, I want to go to Africa tomorrow, I'm gonna be like, okay, let's
Let's
go.
go.
Like I'm ready.
Vamos.
Vamos.
I am here
¿Por qué
for
no?
it. And I
Yeah.
think, and I love to hear that. Like, I love that you kind of differentiated Costa Rica as your first truly like immersive experience because I feel like that makes such a huge difference. Like,
Hmm.
the difference in going somewhere and staying in for example like an all-inclusive resort or like taking a cruise somewhere versus being immersed
Hmm.
in a culture. You walk outside the door and you see locals who live here who probably
Right.
don't speak the same language as you, like you're
Right.
taking like local transportation. It's such a completely different experience. And I tell people that for me, whenever I lived abroad for the first time in 2019, so I
Mhm.
did 4 countries in 4 months
Oh,
with this
wow.
group travel company, and that was my first time ever being immersed in travel. And I know for a fact that if I didn't do that experience, I would not be living abroad today. Like that really
Mm.
was what sold me, was that true immersion.
Right, right. Yeah, you are so right with that because I didn't even think about that. Like, I've never done an all-inclusive resort ever. Like, I've
Yeah,
never traveled that way. So, yeah, it would have probably been a different experience for me if I just did that and was like, oh, okay, this is nice, versus like I went into a situation where I was fully immersed, and that for me was like where I got excited. So, yeah, that's a really good point.
yeah. And Costa Rica is one of my favorite
Gorgeous.
countries. It's like, I mean, obviously you ended up next to Costa Rica,
Yeah,
and
yeah, right next
you ended
door.
up in Panama.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit more about how you ended up moving abroad, living abroad to Panama. Where did your Panama journey begin?
Yeah, so yeah, I when I studied abroad in Costa Rica over 10 years ago now, I always thought in my mind like I'm going to live abroad at some point
Yeah,
and it's probably going to be Costa Rica. So that was always like a thing in my mind. And then like I said from there I always kept traveling. So I was looking to get away and like go on a quick trip in 2022. Yeah. So I was just kind of like looking for flights because that's how I travel. Like if I see a cheap flight, I'll go. So found I was living in Seattle at the time, so I found a cheap flight to
yeah,
Panama, and I was like, oh, this is great because especially traveling from The West Coast to anywhere in the Caribbean is usually
Yeah.
expensive because it's all the way on the other
Yeah.
side. So I was like, oh, let me go. So I went and I was literally only there for 7 days. And people think it's funny, but like I literally felt like I don't know how to explain it. Like just a vibe of like, oh, like this feels like home. Like
Yes.
I like it here. Like I enjoy just the presence of being here. It just felt so like homey. That's really how I
Yeah.
can explain it. Like it just felt real comfortable.
Yeah.
So, I remember thinking on that trip, like, I could see myself living here. And that was the first time I've said that since Costa Rica.
Yeah.
So for me, that was like, okay, like, I'm not just like saying this, like, I can feel it.
Yes.
So once I left, I was planning my trip to move.
Yeah.
I was like,
Like
okay,
right
what do I need to do to
after
make
your
it
trip from
happen?
Panama. You mean like what?
Yeah, once I landed back in the States, I was like, okay, what do I got to get in order
Oh,
to
I
make this move?
love that.
So I
Wow.
moved less than a year later.
Wow. So you've been in Panama what, 2 years
It'll
now?
be
A
two
little more than 2 years?
years. It'll be two
Okay.
years in
Oh
August.
wow.
Hmm.
Wow, that is, I had no idea that, I didn't know that you went there and then literally went back home and turned around and moved. Oh,
Yeah.
one thing I
Yeah.
really love about that is and I'm sure you get this all the time when you talk to people about the places you've been, and they're like, "Well, how do you like this place?" or "Why do you like this place better?" or "What do you like so much about this?" And I tell people all the time, I'm like, "Look, I can tell you the people are nice. I can tell you the food is good. I can tell you I like the weather, but I will
Mhm.
never be able to explain how it feels." To be in another country that feels like home. I'm like, I will never be
Yeah.
able to put that into words. And that's why I'm constantly telling people, I'm like, you got to just go. Like you have to just go and you have to see it for yourself.
Literally, literally. Yeah, you can't explain the feeling.
Yeah.
And the only people who understand the feeling are other people who
Yeah.
felt it. They'll be like,
Yep.
yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. And I remember feeling that whenever I was in Costa Rica. So I went there for me and my husband went there for our honeymoon. And I remember being and we were on the funny enough, we were actually on the Caribbean side. So we were closer to
Mhm.
Panama. And when
Yeah, yeah.
oh my God, and I'm so
That's the
mad.
best
We
side.
almost we almost did is it Bocas del
Yeah.
Toro? Like we almost did it, but we were like, oh my God, like it was such a short time frame. And I look back and I'm like, I regret it. We should
Yeah, it's
have because
right there.
I know, and
Yeah,
I hear it's
yeah.
so beautiful. But
It's gorgeous.
that was the first time that I really was like, oh my God. I was like, we could live here. I was like, this place, it's just like that was
Hmm.
the first time I really had that feeling. So I completely relate. And I want y'all to know out there who I've been preaching this to for I don't know how long. It's not just me. You heard it from Jennifer. Like sometimes you go places and there's just a feeling.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
So tell us why you feel like Panama is, and this is like just, it can be like a professional, personal opinion, all of it, but
Mhm.
like, why is Panama a good place for U.S. citizens who want to move abroad? Like, what has your experience been? What do you like about it? Why would you recommend Panama?
Okay. So many reasons. So this is in no particular order. I'm just gonna just say
Yeah.
things. I think one is the way of life there is different. Uh, as a lot of people know, the culture in the States is very like hustle,
Yep.
go, go, go. Um, the pace of life in Panama is so different. Like they take their time off seriously. They take their holidays seriously. Like they're not a hustle culture, and you could just feel it in the day to day.
Mm,
Like when they're going to work, you'll see them, between rush hour, 6 a.m., 9 a.m. After that, the streets are pretty much calm, really empty. And then, like, after work hours, everybody's like at a local bar, at a local park, like somewhere just relaxing. Like,
yeah.
it doesn't matter where you are in the city. You can sense that, like, they just have that culture of just like separating work and home. And I love that because
Yes.
that's what I was looking for personally. Like, I, again, it's a feeling. Like, literally, when I come back to the States, I can feel the climate is
The
different. And I'm not talking about the
urgency,
weather.
like
Yeah,
the
the
fake urgency.
urgency. Yeah, there's an
Yeah.
urgency about everything. And you don't feel that in Panama. Like, they literally are not urgent about everything. Like, everything is just, they're just chill.
Yes.
So I love that. Um Another thing that I talk to my clients about a lot, because a lot of my clients are young Black millennials or older, but just for Black people, like, there is a sense of safety, a sense of community, just a sense of peace there. Things that you don't have to worry about in the States.
Hmm. Yes.
Like, you don't have to worry about microaggressions. Like, you don't have to worry about people making comments about your hair or just something crazy, something wild. It's not that. Like, Panama is, I was surprised at how diverse Panama is. Like,
Me
Panamanians
too.
themselves, they have so much history, like different ethnic groups in
Hmm.
their background, but also there's a lot of expats from so many different countries in Panama City. And they have a huge Afro-Panamanian community in the
Yes.
city and on the outskirts. So you're not gonna feel like you don't belong. Like, you're gonna
Yeah.
like fit right in if you are a person of color. So I love that. Just, I think that was part of the like sense of feeling at home, is like, I see everybody who looks like me around here. Like, I don't feel like I'm an outsider in any way.
Yeah.
And I think for a lot of people, especially in today's climate, like, that's
Yeah.
important to just, feel seen.
Exactly.
Um, so yeah, that's another big one. I could go on.
Listen, no, I know there are so many reasons. Even when Black people ask me about countries that I recommend, that's actually one of the things that I do bring up about one of the things I do bring up about Panama is like,
Mhm.
if you want to go somewhere and you don't want to feel like you are the minority, if you want to go somewhere and you feel like you don't want to like stand out in a way that's
Mhm.
like, oh, like what are they doing there?
Right.
And that was actually a really big surprise for me. I think that DR was probably the first country I ever went to.
Hmm.
Yeah, I'm making sure. Yeah. DR was the first country I ever went to where I saw Black people who
Hmm.
were not like American. And I
Okay.
remember,
Yeah.
and it's so funny because, and yeah, I mean, and you know what? There's a point in time I would have been like embarrassed to admit this, but I'm like, you know what? This is why I encourage people to travel, because in the United
Facts.
States, unfortunately, so much of us in terms of travel, we
Mhm.
are ignorant. Like, we are
Yeah.
so ignorant.
Yeah.
And I remember being in the airport, and I remember looking around being like, is she
Where these people come from?
like, I was
Yeah.
like, are they? And then they would start talking. I'd be like, nope, nope, not American. And the same thing happened with me and my husband when we were in Panama last year, because we were not expecting to see. And I feel like some places when you go, even if there is like some like Afro lineage, a lot of times it's like, oh yeah, but you got to go to this one
Yeah,
area.
right.
Like,
They're,
so
yeah, localized to one area. Yeah. Hmm.
exactly. So I remember like we were in Panama City and like we were just seeing Black people everywhere. And it was
Hmm.
so many times with my husband, like we would play this little game like, you think they're from the US? 95% of the time, nope, they were
No.
absolutely not. So I love that you brought that point
Yeah.
up, because like you said, it is an important thing for some people, and especially just, considering a lot of things that Black people have dealt with their entire lives, being
Hmm.
the minority, like the relief of going to a place where people, not only are people not treating you like you're a science experiment, but also you're not worried about your life because of the color of your skin.
Right. That's, yeah, that's another like layer of it. I mean, because I see people make certain comments. And I don't know if people talk about this in real life in the same way, because the internet is an interesting space.
It
But
is.
people will make comments like, "Oh, you know, you would leave the U.S. to go somewhere else where you don't know if you're going to be safe," or and I'm like, what is your definition of safety? You
Yeah,
know, because that for me is one of the reasons why I love Panama. Like as a single black woman, like I'm
yeah,
not there with like, you know, a family or a partner.
yeah,
I feel safe. Like I don't have to worry like that there's going to be a mass shooting, you
yeah.
know? Like unfortunately, and that's what is so common in the States now is like just gun violence pretty much anywhere. Like you have to worry
Normalized.
about it's normalized now. I that's but it's not normal.
Exactly.
So like I like being in a country where I don't have to worry about those things. I'm not like, you know,
Watching
for
your
everyday
six.
stuff. Yeah. Yeah. So that's another big one. Like I don't know about anywhere else, but I know that in Panama, like gun violence specifically, that's not an issue.
Yeah, whenever we did a tour in Casco Viejo, and I don't even remember what exactly the conversation was, but long story short, the tour guide was like, "Oh yeah, you know, there was a pew pew here." Like he was like literally he had to think back. Like he was
Mhm.
like 1 or 2 months ago, and I was like, "Wow." I was like, "Wow, that's." I was
Yeah,
like, "That's pretty." I was like, that's a pretty solid statistic because if I in the US could never, and they
I've
just
never.
yeah. Then I get the safety thing a lot as well, and honestly, it don't even matter. It don't even matter what country I'm in. I mean, I'm in Mexico now. I've had people, ask me about the safety. When I was in
Mhm.
Vietnam and like Asia, people ask me about the safety, and I say the same thing. I'm like, how safe do you actually feel in the United States?
Right.
And and even though like in some of these places you may have to worry about more like petty crime, I'm like, you know what? I would much
I'll
rather
take that.
somebody snatch my phone out of my hand than blow my head
Yeah,
off.
basically. Like, oh, you want the phone here, take it.
Yeah,
Like you can't take back your life, you know,
yeah.
like that's different.
No, I agree. It's unfortunate that the US does kind of make it seem like they are the most safest country and they're the best country. But again, this is why you have to travel. I feel like at least travel and then make that decision for yourself. A lot of
Right.
people who are asking these questions and saying these things, I'm like, you ain't even got a passport. Why am I arguing with
You're
you?
saying
Like,
that behind a computer screen.
yes,
Okay.
yeah. So when you are, working with clients and people are asking you questions, what do you feel like is like what are like the main challenges that come up for people whenever they want to move abroad, leave the US, move to do you only help people move to Panama or do you help people move other places as
Just
well?
Panama.
Okay, okay. So then specifically for Panama, like what do you feel like are some of the most common questions or challenges that you get when working with your clients?
Yeah, the number one thing that usually comes up is work opportunity.
Mm,
Like they're trying to figure out, well, how can I work there? How can I work remotely so that I can live abroad?
yeah.
Um, yeah, that comes up more often than anything else because they just want to make sure that like there's, you know, work or they can find work in the States and then, you know, come over to Panama and be good.
Yeah.
Um so yeah, that's one and then like just visa options like, you know, how will they live there, how long they can live there and what does that look like to get a visa to move out there
And
or
what
to
are
become
some
a
of the
permanent
most like
resident.
common visas that you typically recommend for Panama?
Yeah, so the most common one for people in general is the pensionado visa, which is for retirees. But my clients range, they're more often millennials, and there are some who are retirees or get retirement benefits. So you don't even
Hmm.
have to be retirement age, but if you show that you get the retirement benefits, then that's one of the easiest visas to get.
Yeah.
Um, and then they have a business visa. I forgot exactly what it's called, but it's visa for U.S. citizens. U.S. citizens. It's specifically for U.S. citizens. If you want to come and have a visa that lasts for a year. You just have to open a business. And even
In
if it's
Panama?
not in Panama, yeah.
Oh wow. So you could
Yeah,
open a business in
you
Panama.
can. Yes, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, that's one of the ways that a lot of people who are not retirement age are able to stay, and not worry about, having to leave.
Yeah.
So, yeah, if you open a business, as long as you send in like statements of like how the business is going, even if it's not like making money, like you just have to keep up with the sharing it with the country,
Yeah.
the expenses and things like that, you're good. So that's another easy one. And then you can just renew it, I think 2 or 3 times, and then you can apply for like a permanent residency.
Oh nice.
Um, so that's another one. And then a lot of people don't know that you can live in Panama for up to 6 months without a visa,
Yeah.
without anything. So a lot of people don't realize that. Like they'll come to me and they're like, "Oh, what's the visa?" And I'm like, "Did you know that you could live here for 6 months with just your passport?" They're like, "Oh." And for them, that works because, you can leave and you can come right back. As long as you leave
Right.
before those 6 months are up, that 6 months renews and you can come right back. So, um, they're okay with that. I mean, one thing I've seen with Panama, like um, they're okay with Americans living in their country, and they don't make it difficult for you
Yeah.
to live there. So if you like want to get an apartment, if you want to like pay bills, like it's totally simple. As long as you have the
Yeah.
money to do the things, like they're okay with it. They want you to invest. So if you want to open a business, pretty straightforward.
Yeah.
So yeah.
That makes sense because even whenever I was there and I was hanging out with some expats, I remember hello Mo's baby girl. Even whenever we were there, we were hanging out with expats, like we definitely got the vibe that this is not a hard move,
Mhm.
which I think is important because for moving abroad, a lot of people are already overwhelmed. A lot of
Right.
people are already they already assume it's going to be too hard. They already assume it's going to be complicated. So it's nice
Hmm.
whenever it is that simple. And like you said, being able to come to Panama and stay there for 6 months just with your passport, and then maybe after that 6 months you go to the U.S., visit your family. Maybe you slide over to Costa Rica or Colombia,
Exactly.
and
Exactly.
even that, right? I mean, to travel. I mean, maybe we're probably biased as travelers, but I'm like, oh, my one requirement is I have to travel once a year.
No,
Okay.
no problem.
Okay. Say less.
Exactly. Exactly. I'm like, if you're a traveler, it's gonna be no problem. You're gonna do more than one trips a year.
Yeah, yeah. No, 100%. The phone service
Yeah.
that I use, I only have 3 months of international coverage, and people are like, "Oh my God, like that's nothing." And I'm like, "Child, I'm rarely in the same country for 3 months at a time." So
Exactly.
I'm like, honestly, for me, it's not that big of a deal. But I get it,
Yeah.
right? Not everyone. That's not the case for everyone, and that's
Right.
fine.
Right.
But I do want to ask, what are the top three things that you wish you knew? Like if you
Mm.
could go back, like what are the top three things that you wish you knew before you moved abroad? It doesn't have to be specific to Panama, but just in
Mm-hmm.
general for moving abroad, living abroad, being in Panama, what do you wish you knew before you took the big leap?
Hmm. That's a good question. What do I wish I knew? Um, I think, hmm. I think I wish I knew just more information about like being a person who's not retirement age moving to another country like Panama.
Hmm.
Like there just wasn't any information out there. Like I was just figuring out on my own like what it looked like.
Yeah,
So yeah, I wish like there was like just more creators or just more bloggers, just more people talking about like this is what living abroad looks like. And maybe I'm just, yeah, talking to like there's just not enough people in the travel niche. Like, yeah, there's not enough people people talking about living
Yeah.
abroad. So I wish there
And do
was
you
just
mean
like,
Panama specifically, or you just mean in general?
mm, I think in
Okay.
general, in general, Panama for sure specifically. I think there's definitely a gap there. I've heard it myself from clients who are
Yeah.
like, you know, Panama never came on my radar, or you're the only person that I see like talking about it. I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, really? So yeah, I think in general there needs to be more convo, or people just need to share their stories about living abroad. Like
Yeah.
that would be helpful. That would inspire more people. Like let people know that like it's possible.
Yeah. And even like for Panama specifically, I think it was so refreshing to come across another millennial because I feel the
Hmm.
same. Like I have millennial friends who have like visited Panama for like 5 days, 4 days, but in
Yeah.
terms of like living abroad and in terms of like the expat community, I feel like I definitely got the vibe that it was a lot older. And I'm
Hmm.
like, okay, I know there are more millennials here, and even
Hmm.
I wish that I would have discovered you before I visited Panama last
Yeah.
year.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. There's just not enough creators, I think, just talking about living abroad. But yeah, Panama is definitely one of those countries that like, yeah, I've had like no, yeah, there were no millennials who were making content uh when I was looking at stuff from what I could find.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think I'm like one of the few now that come up like making content, you know, around my age. Um, let's see, what else did I wish I knew? Um,
I think it's kind of cool that you have to think this hard because that probably means that your journey was like fairly smooth getting here.
it was, it
Yeah.
was, yeah, yeah, it was fairly smooth because I think once I was ready to go, I was ready to go. And I mean, I gave myself time because I was in Panama visiting in October and then I moved August of the next year. So it was close to a year later. Um but yeah, once I was ready to go, I was ready to go and I like planned for it. So for the most part, it was smooth. I think, okay, Panama stuff specifically, I think I wish I knew more about like the renting process because the renting process is interesting there. It's really like buying a house. Like you have to go through a real estate agent and they have to show you like the apartments, or you have to like talk to the owner and they show you their apartment. It's not like in the States where you like go to an apartment building and the apartment manager like
Right.
shows you. It's like more like you're like trying to get a condo. So it's that's a little bit different. And that was a stressful 2 weeks before I found my apartment.
And where do you even find these like these realtors or the people who are
Exactly.
going to show you
Like
their apartments?
I had to find out about the website, which I don't even remember how I found out about the website. It's a website that posts all
Ah,
the leases and you know owners and real estate agents. But yeah, I'm trying to remember how I found out. I think it was like a YouTube video after I did some
yeah.
diggings, a lot of digging. I was like, oh, this is the website to go search. But if I didn't know about that website, I wouldn't know how to find an
Yeah.
apartment.
No,
So,
that's good to know. I didn't know. I actually didn't know that either about Panama, about the like
mhm.
the apartment process.
Yeah, yeah, it's interesting. So that took me some time to figure out, and that's something that I share in my consultations too, because yeah, you won't know until like you know somebody tells you.
Yeah. And what
Yeah.
part of
Um,
Panama City are you in? Are you on? Well, you tell me. And I don't. I only know two sides, so you might say something. And I'm gonna be like, "Where's that?"
I'm in like I don't know if there's I don't see them as sides. I look at the neighborhoods. So I'm close to El Congrejo, that
Yeah,
neighborhood,
don't know it.
which is which is like right in the heart of Panama City. So yeah, I don't know what side that would be considered, but it's like right in the heart of the city. So maybe like 10 minutes out of the city center.
Okay, So this is how me and my husband classified it whenever we were there. We were like,
Uh-huh.
okay, you have like the San Francisco side and then you have
Okay.
like the Casco Viejo side. Because we didn't realize, so like are you closer to like Casco Viejo?
I'm closer to San Francisco.
Okay, okay,
Yeah.
got it. Yeah, so whenever we were there, like the first like week or two, like we were honestly just like chilling, and then
Uh-huh.
we kind of like stumbled upon Casco Viejo, and we were like, oh, this is where the party at. Like
Yes.
we were like, okay, okay, we see it. So yeah, I was gonna ask like for people who do want to move to Panama, and I'm sure it probably differs by the clients, but do you typically recommend people move to like a certain area or or is it like no, it just depends on like what the client wants, the vibe that they're feeling?
Yeah, I go based on what the client wants. But I have a good list of like neighborhoods that I recommend depending on yeah, what they want. I mean I generally recommend like if you're a millennial to like stay in the heart of the
Yeah,
city. Because I think it's a good balance of like having the city life and having things to do if you want it, but you could also like be like in one of the suburbs if you want. But it's hard to like really for me personally, I feel like it's just hard to like really get immersed in the culture and like really enjoy yourself if you're like way out in the
yeah,
outskirts. Because what I will say about Panama is like the outskirts, the beach towns are very quiet and more remote.
yeah,
So you're not gonna get that liveliness, and things are a little bit more spread apart. So it can make it hard to like assimilate and like really like have a smooth transition. So usually I tell people, yeah, start in the city, like unless you're like older and you really know like you're like retired life and you just don't want to mess with people, you can go to the beach towns,
yeah,
but start in the city. And then from there I'll like recommend different neighborhoods depending on the vibe that they're looking
yeah.
for.
No, and that makes sense because it's very similar here, and I'm in Merida, Mexico right now, and I feel like
Okay.
it's very similar. You hear the beach, and it's like, oh my God, yeah, the beach. But whenever we visited the beach, like outside of, like the strip where it's like the boardwalk and you have like where like the tourists go, yeah,
Mhm.
like it was very remote and even they call it it's like the north, like it's not really a neighborhood, but it's like north of
Mhm.
like Centro, the downtown area, and that's where a
Mhm.
lot of people stay. But then like whenever we went to Centro again, we were like, oh, this is the heart of the city, this is where the culture is. So yeah, I
Yeah.
100% agree. At least if you're starting out, start out in the heart of everything, because then you can make
Right.
that decision like, okay, you know what, I've been here, I'm in the hustle and bustle of things, but you can decide if you want to go somewhere quieter. But otherwise I feel like
Exactly.
you're just going to miss out on so much.
Literally, yeah. Yep. Exactly.
So, what is your biggest piece of advice for someone who wants to move abroad to Panama and they are feeling overwhelmed and they're like, I don't know how I'm going to do this? What would you tell them to do? Or what
Um,
would you tell them?
book a consultation with me. No, I'm just kidding. Besides that, I would say, try to slow yourself down. There's no rush. So like um maybe if you're doing like too much research and you feel overwhelmed, like step back for a second, um and like take a break and then come back to it so you can figure out what you want to do. But what I usually tell my clients is like if you're ready to do it, like do it. Like
Yeah,
don't like linger too much. I think like sometimes people are just like, yeah, I want to move abroad. Okay, like I'll figure out in a year or two. And there's no like real reason. They're just like, oh, I'll
yep,
figure it out then. But it's like if it's on your spirit and like you can feasibly do it, because you have a remote job, for example, do it.
yeah,
Like just, do the research that you need to figure out, okay, like where you want to live. And then, like you said, start with the heart of the city So if you just like pick somewhere in the heart of whatever country you're going to, especially with Panama, you'll be fine. Like you'll
Yeah.
survive.
Yeah. No,
So,
I love that advice because like we were saying earlier, so many people they psych themselves out.
mhm.
And I'm like, if you feel called to do this, I'm like, okay, look at all these people who are online now. I'm like, you know what, if you wanted to do this 10 years ago, 20 years ago, okay. But I'm
Yeah,
like, at this point, you see, people out here traveling the world. Obviously, you have people like Jen who you can book a call with and actually get one-on-one help with. But
yeah,
like you said, if you don't have some major thing holding you back, it's so easy for all this time to pass and for you to be like, oh yeah, I said I wanted to live abroad. Like sometimes I hear people say like I wanted to live abroad for the last 5 years, and I'd be like, girl, what you doing?
what are you
What are you
doing?
doing?
The time is now.
And it's just going to keep moving. That's the other thing is like I feel like I turned 32 in October. I feel like I'm at the point I've crossed over. I need to start saying I turned 33 in October. Now I'm like right in that like 6 month window.
Yeah,
And I always tell people I'm like one thing that's interesting to me about being in the early 30s is you really start to grasp the fact that time is an illusion. Like you
yeah,
blink and it's
yeah,
like when
yeah,
when did this happen? When did
exactly.
I get here? And I think that's part of the reason why there's a lot of reasons why people want to move abroad. But I think like one of the reasons is, recognizing that time is passing.
Yeah,
Like don't you have this life that you want to live? Why are you putting it off? Like you said, especially if you have a remote job, if you have the funds to do it, if you don't have kids, you don't have pets, you don't have things that other people have to take into consideration. I'm like, at this point, you just playing with
yeah.
yourself because
You're holding yourself back. Like,
yeah.
why not?
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, because that's the thought process that I had when, once I realized like, oh, I want to do this, I'm like, let me do this now. Like, I
Yep.
like the window is open.
Yep.
Like, I have this remote job. I've been wanting to do this, and there's a country that I like. Let me just go.
Done. Yeah.
Done, and here I am.
Yes. And as of now, you're planning on like staying in Panama. Do you have any plans to like shuffle anywhere or no?
Yeah. That's the funny thing. When I first moved, I did not have plans to stay. I just knew that I liked it, and I thought,
Yeah.
okay, maybe I'll do 3 months, maybe 6 months. But I've gotten so
Oh,
comfortable. So
oh
now I'm like,
yes.
I don't think I want to go anywhere else. I went to Medellin, Colombia
Yeah.
last year, the end of last year. That, if I had seen Colombia before Panama, I don't know. Things may have been different. I
That's
really liked
so
it
funny.
there.
First of all,
I
wait, when were you in Colombia? We might have been there at the same time. That's when
November. Yeah,
I was there.
November.
Yeah.
Really?
I was there. We left Panama and went to Colombia. So we left Panama like the end of no, early September, like early to
Hmm.
mid September, and then we left like a couple weeks before Thanksgiving. So yeah,
Wow.
well, yeah, I love Medellin, and it was actually my second time. So I was in Medellin in 2019. That was one of the countries that I went to whenever I lived abroad, and then Medellin is actually, or Colombia is actually the first country that I ever like traveled to more than once.
Hmm.
That wasn't like a cruise. Like normally,
Hmm.
I'm like I want to go somewhere new, and yeah,
Yeah.
I'm a big
Yeah, that's
fan.
how
I'm a
I
big fan of Medellin
feel.
as well.
That's what I'm like. I want to go back this year. Like that's how much I liked it. So I don't know. Maybe you might have something around the corner for me. We'll see.
Okay, well, let me know because I might be there. I might be back there again later this
Okay.
year.
Yes.
See that?
Yes. If we're both there, we definitely have to connect.
Yeah,
Yes.
for sure. Because we've been moving around so much, and like we're kind of at the point where we're like, all right, we need some roots, okay? Like we need we need a place to just chill. Because you can
Yeah.
always like travel and like take trips, and there are still some places in Latin America I want to go. Like I would love to visit Ecuador. I would love to visit Guatemala.
Okay.
So like there's still
Yeah.
places I want to go. So I'm like. Bianca, like y'all can set up some routes and then take trips, but
Right.
we're kind of keeping it open, and I think that's another beautiful thing about moving abroad. And another thing that I tell people is like, I promise you the hardest part is getting out of the US because
Yeah.
you're in your head. I don't know which country, well, I don't know, but it's, I'm like, once you move, you're gonna be like, oh, I can go anywhere. Like,
Literally. Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. Exactly.
be trying to
Yeah.
tell him, Jen. I'll be
Yeah.
trying to tell him. All right,
Yes.
Jen. Well, thank you so much for joining. This was such a great conversation. Before I let you
Yeah.
go, tell us where we can find you online. If you have anything you want to plug, go ahead and let us know.
Yeah, right here on IG. I post content more regularly on IG now. On TikTok, I am Jen the Traveler, no space, no nothing. So you can find me there. And yeah, I mean, if you want to book a consultation to talk about moving to Panama, I have those all the time. It's like virtual one-on-one time, so we could talk about that. I have content on my website. Well, not content, but resources, my ebook and other things. Your Moving Abroad book is on there
Yes.
too, which is phenomenal.
Thank
So
you.
yeah, there's things that you can use, resources that you can use, but also we can do one-on-ones if you need it. And yeah. Oh, I'm also on YouTube. I forgot. I haven't made a YouTube video. Um, I don't know how long it's been, but I am on YouTube, and the information that I have on there, I feel like is just way more of an extension of what I have on TikTok and IG.
Yeah.
So I have a video that I'll be making pretty soon in the next 2 weeks. So yeah, on YouTube, I'm also Jen the Traveler.
Okay. And that's Jen with two N's.
Two ends, yes.
Okay.
Thank you for
Okay.
saying that.
Okay. Yeah, because man, listen. Actually, I went live with another Jennifer like 2 days ago. So
Oh, it's funny.
even me, like I have to remember.
Yeah,
But yeah, y'all make sure that you follow Jen for all things Panama. Book a call with her if you are interested in Panama and you want some more one-on-one help. Jen, thank you again for joining and thank you for having this conversation. I really appreciate it.
absolutely. Thank you for having me
Of
anytime.
course. All right, y'all. We're about to hop off of here and make sure you follow Jen. Follow me if you haven't already, and we'll catch y'all next time.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.